Today's show is brought to you by thelovesickcure.com. Does your love life suck because you can't move on from the idea of him? Does every man you meet pale in comparison to the way he made you feel? It's okay, lady love. We 100% understand and have been there before. Whether you'd like the opportunity to get him back or to completely move on, we know this only happens when you cure your heartbreak and love sickness. Let us help you do that today at thelovesickcure.com.
You are listening to Single Smart Female.
This is Jen,
And Jen,
letting it all hang out for your love life.
examining your dating experiences and answering your hot topic dating questions.
Just you and us, Jen squared. No topic is off limits and no filters involved.
We are here to help you do dating on your terms.
If you have a question you would like us to answer or would like to immediately upgrade your love life with our collection of classes and exclusive merchandise, meet us over now at singlesmartfemale.com. Hello, Single Smart Female. It's the Jens here, you know, Jen squared. Jen squared with their care power on.
Jen to the power of two.
Yeah.
Jen dos.
Jen cuadrada. I can't even say the word anymore. My Spanish.
But
is
you
really
sound
slipping.
sexy.
Cuadrada.
Quadrada. I think all my friends
butchered
that are Spanish speaking friends would be proud of me for that.
They would. I'm proud of you.
I have a long ways to go though.
My Spanish is slipping, so I have a long ways to go with you again.
You know what that means?
What?
We need to go to Mexico.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
Miss Mexico.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Okay.
Cozumel.
I miss Cozumel so much.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna make me cry. My assumption that you have a single smart female listener question for us.
I do.
Okay.
It comes from the state of California, from San Francisco, and it is, she calls herself Miss Not Good Enough. She is 38, and let's hear what she has to say and what she has to ask us. So she writes, "Hi, Jens. I finally joined Match.com a couple of weeks ago, and I met this man who seems too good to be true. He's divorced, he has 2 daughters, and has a successful career in the wine business. Of course, like any girl, I Googled his name and read all about his business and how successful he is. Then I started to feel unsure if I deserve someone like him. I have debts and I have a really bad credit score. I work as a nanny. I come from a very simple family and I have roommates. I don't feel like I'm good enough for him. We only went on one date, but I started noticing this pattern of not feeling good enough for anyone. How can I stop thinking this way?" What do you think, Jen?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. I don't even know exactly where I should start. I'm going to take the reins on this one for a little bit because there's something much bigger going on in this question besides just the how get out of this pattern of not feeling good about anyone and how can I stop thinking this way? So yeah, that definitely is an issue going on here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let you address the direct issues here and then I'm going to talk bigger picture stuff.
Oh, okay. I could go big picture too, but I'm going to go direct. Okay. So how could you stop thinking that you're not good enough for him? Okay. So first thing that stuck out to me is she said that, of course, like any girl, I Googled his name and read all about his business. I actually never Google any guys.
And you and I chatted about this for a second. I'm kind of ambivalent, but not completely ambivalent about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you don't Google any guys, and I think that's fine. I think Googling guys is based on who you have been historically. So let's say you've been the woman who has, you've had repetitive abusive relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I might do some Googling for that as you're coming out of things, just because you have some energy around that. Now, if you're the woman who uses Google to basically disqualify guys all the time, I might not Google that way.
Yeah.
It's really, truly, and I know women are going to disagree with me on this, but it is truly based on who you have been historically. And eventually, like say for the person who's been in abusive, repetitive patterns, eventually you'll actually step away from doing that. It's just initially as you're starting to clear out a lot of the energy around that, I think you should have an extra safety measure.
Yeah, that makes
place.
sense to me. Absolutely.
But I don't believe it's for every woman. I know for a fact, like if I was dating right now and I wanted to Google a man, it wouldn't make any difference.
Mhm.
I would just use that information for fun.
Right.
Okay. Unless I've, found something absolutely horrible, which I never do. And because that's not the kind of men I attract in my world anymore.
You can run into people who are going to be deceitful, who are not going to be who they say they are. You can. But I also believe that God is going to protect me and reveal that to me. And in this case with her, with Miss Not Good Enough, I feel like the information that she found on Google was detrimental to her. It was the catalyst that started her thinking about,
well, see, I think definitely in this case, she's actually using it to hurt herself.
Exactly.
She's using it to disqualify herself. Some women use it to disqualify men. Some women also use it to disqualify themselves. Yeah. And I think that's really important. If you're using something like this, because everything's a tool and it just really depends on how you're using it, that whether or not it's the right tool for you. And if you're using it to disqualify yourself or to disqualify your man, you need to stop that shit. Because man, not only do I believe exactly like Jen does that I use the word God, you can use creator, you can use higher power, whatever resonates with you will protect you. There's a real beauty in mantourage dating that because you're learning to do and act, you're learning to do things differently and interact with men differently, that they're going to show their hand very quickly because of the energy of it. And so I'm not saying that it's a complete foolproof method. I don't want to make those claims whatsoever, but there is less incident of horror in this scenario, okay, versus regular how most women just kind of haphazardly approach dating. It's an actual system that works very, very well for that. It's really person dependent.
Yeah.
Whether or not you should do stuff like that. And I like the fact that you don't do it. I don't think you actually need it whatsoever on any level, but there would be other women that I would recommend doing it. And I've had clients before that I have recommend doing that and for certain reasons. So it's very situationally and person dependent.
Right. So then I guess the next thing to talk about with this submission is her not feeling good enough for anyone. To be honest, I'm having a little bit of trouble of where to dive in on that because I feel like it's such a big topic. And
so let me go to the big picture piece and let's talk about it, because I can't even give you advice here on how to feel better about this because, so we're going to start at the end. And then, when I started dating, when I was doing my mantourage dating experience and with my current husband, I was economically not in the great place. My income was very low. There's two things. So dating and making money can be very competing energies, especially if you're on a lower income, you have a lot of debt, things like that. It can be those are two energies that compete with each other. I will tell women a lot of times because they'll say things to me like, but I know, Jen, a lot of times I'll start making more money if I'm having a great time in my love life. And I say, yes, that is absolutely true. Except here's the problem. Here's the big catch. Most of the time you won't be able to enjoy any of it because you're so worried about the money piece. I was able to segregate in my head and my worth. My worth wasn't dependent on my romantic worth. I still think I had issues around the fact that my income wasn't where I wanted it to be at the time, but I knew that it was not going to affect my outcome with men. I knew that down in my soul. So I actually recommend to most women when they come to ask to work with me and they're just trying to barely scrape the money together, okay? And they're really worried about money all the time, I tell them to go work on the money piece. This is wildly important. Go get your money first, all right? I am tired of women going into relationships and not, because then things end up developing poorly because she's so worried the whole time that she's now financially dependent on this man.
Yeah.
Women need to be financially self-sufficient. Now, if you're asking me thinking, well, Jen, what about women who want to be married and just run a household?
Be a homemaker, yeah.
Yes. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion, but those aren't the women that I'm serving here. Those are not the women that I am teaching to. I'm not trying to help you ladies find some man to take care of you. I am working with the ladies and teaching you how to find a true partner so that you can be ambitious in your life and have everything you want, and then have a man go along with you for the ride and have these amazing experiences. There's nothing really truly wrong. The other setup, it's just not what I teach here. It's not what I'm really very passionate about.
Yeah, not your focus. It's a different direction.
It's a different energy. It's a different scenario. If that's what you're looking for, I'm not the woman to come to for it. Okay.
Yeah.
That said, go ahead.
I want to share a part of my history in my dating adventures, but I don't know if this is the right moment or not. If
Go
you
for
had
it.
something. So way, way long ago, I decided I had a disappointment in dating, and that's when I reached out to Jen. And at that time, I lived in a different city. I was being paid very poorly, and I was in situations that weren't bringing me up in life. They weren't serving me. I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't in a terrible place, but I just knew that there was something more for me, and I was in debt, and it was overwhelming to me. And so anyway, I started doing stuff with Jen, and I met a couple of really handsome, exciting, successful men. And I learned that one of them, I've actually mentioned him here and there a few times. I call him the pilot. I adored that guy, but I was scared because he was incredibly successful. He actually retired at 38 years old. He retired because he had way enough money. He didn't ever need to work another day in his life. And he had this beautiful apartment that was massive in downtown, so gorgeous. And I never invited him to my house or invited him to my life because I was embarrassed. I didn't think that I was good enough. And he asked me, he came out and said, "Why don't you ever ask me to do anything with you? Why don't you ever invite me to your house?" It's because I didn't think it was good enough for where he was. And that was the wrong approach. I have witnessed a friend of mine whose boyfriend who is, I guess, I don't know. Is he a millionaire? I'm not sure. He's close if he's not.
Are we talking about the dentist?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess he's possibly a multimillionaire.
Potentially.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And she rents a studio, and it's been so beautiful to watch her stand in her value and know who she is, that she is a worthy person, even though she has no assets compared to his. Like her assets right next to his would look minuscule. So anyway.
Yeah, because our external assets are fantastic, and I want you ladies to have those things, and I think it's important to have financial security as a woman, but it's not a basis for your romantic worth. So
Miss Not Good Enough.
it's not good enough. First, ladies, stop giving me the crappy names. Give me the positive names.
When she says crappy, what she truly means, it's not that you're not creative, you are. But when she says crappy, it is that you are basically identifying yourself as something less than, exactly not good enough, that you're forecasting into your future that your worth is low, that you're not going to get, that you are less than.
Yeah. Well, let's change that around. So let's say if you're not quite there yet, you could say, "Miss, I'm not feeling good enough right now."
Or Miss, I'm reaching for greater.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah. Miss, hot and soon to be wealthy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, start there, ladies, when you make your submissions. That's truly important. You got to start thinking of yourself differently. Now, here's the thing. I told you before, there's two competing energies going on here. Can you date and feel good enough? Yeah, but it's a mindset switch, and it's really challenging. This ended up being my life's work, so it was an easier switch for me because something just clicked. Something just absolutely
Yeah, you got
clicked
it
in my life.
fast.
I got it very, very quickly. I recognize that not all women do that. That's perfectly fine. So, and I've seen it enough times. Most women have this huge competing energy between dating and finance. I've had entrepreneurs come to me, and I actually don't highly focus on them because they're in feast or famine a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really challenging when they're in famine to create amazing dating experiences because they don't feel worthy of them, and they're not willing to explore that worthiness of them because they're really, really worried. So I'm sitting here thinking the first thing you need to do, because I really want to end this whole piece of women ever having to be financially dependent on men. Like, they get into these relationships with very wealthy or even just wealthier men than them, and they end up not being able to leave because they can't financially stand on their own two legs.
Oh gosh, that breaks my heart. I can't even.
It's 100% something we need to stop as a society. It's even if you I know I'm not specifically teaching women who are being homemakers and things like that. They need to be putting money aside too when they're in a marriage, not because you're absolutely planning for that great exit or that but we need a financial place to fall. Okay. That's really, really, truly important. And she's sitting, Miss, I am not feeling good enough right now. What really bothers me is, I have these debts and a really bad credit score. That's where you should be focusing right now. Get that shit straight. You can do it. It's going to take you some time, but get that shit straight. And as you start making steps forward on those things, your confidence is going to start building. I also want to ask you, you say you work as a nanny. If you decide to be a career nanny, there is nothing wrong with that. That's freaking fantastic. But are you using nanny as a filler just to bring in money? Because if that is the case, then you need to start working towards what your greater goal is. And even if you don't know exactly what that is, pick one thing right now and start stepping towards that. And then the universe will start opening up opportunities and you'll discover what you really, really want to do. Again, I want to make it clear. If you're a nanny and you want to be a career nanny, own that shit. Own it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It takes real talent to be a great nanny.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
And this is, Jen, where I wasn't sure exactly how to dive in, because what I was gathering from reading this is that I don't know if she's where she truly wants to be. So when she says the question, I don't think I'm good enough for him, I'm wondering to myself, is it really more she doesn't think she's good enough for herself? That popped into my head. I don't know. Is she where she wants to be?
Well, that's what I'm talking about right here.
Yeah.
Is, if nanny's just a filler, it's just an income, then it's time to start working towards. I'm not worried about the man right now. I'm not worried about how you feel in relation to him, because I know that will start to resolve itself once you start really feeling good about what you're putting out into the world. And I've had clients come to me before who have paid me really large sums of money to work with them. And the first thing we'll work on are the 7 years of back taxes that they have not done and paid. Because all that shit, all that crappy energy, bad credit, all that stuff, that
Unresolved.
really plays into your love life. It's very hard to separate things. And I'll have to say, I didn't have a bunch of bad debt. I was very low income when I started all this, but I didn't have a bunch of bad debt on top of all of that to add all that. So I want women to first off understand you are worth it. You're worth having a great love life. But what's going on in your financial life and those pieces that you're embarrassed about and ashamed of are really fucking with your love life potential. Not because of men, not because of what they're actually going to think of you, but how you really project yourself in this world and how you feel about yourself. So it's time to stop giving yourself excuses for neglecting that shit, because you can take small steps and you can then eventually start taking bigger steps and you can clear that shit out. You can actually fix that. Jen you did something amazing.
I did.
You want to tell them?
I mean, which thing?
Well, about you.
I'm messing with you.
How much debt did you end up? I
had $21,000 of credit card debt. I know that sounds crazy. It actually still to this day embarrasses me to say out loud. I just want to say that I was current on my debt. I wasn't like, it wasn't like
you weren't delinquent.
I wasn't delinquent. But anyway, so I made it a mission to pay off my debt. Once I got the right mindset around it, it took me 7 months to pay $21,000 off. And then it took me another 2 to 3 months to save $10,000. Yeah, that was an amazing thing. I can't tell you the amount of relief off of my shoulders when I paid that last bit of debt off. It was incredible. It was freeing. I felt like I could walk into a situation, dating, even just friendships and social situations with a different energy.
Exactly. And the final thing I'm going to say on this is that you get to determine who you are romantically. What's going on with you in your financial life that doesn't define your romantic worth. There's actually a huge disconnect. The only real connection that's going on is the connection that you are making with that. But even with that, I'm going to encourage you to start thinking about what it is you really want with your life. Because most women are here because they have a certain level of ambition. There's a certain piece of the world that they want to conquer, an empire that they want to build. It's not always their own company. It could be something else. There's a lot of things that it can be. But what I am really wanting for women is that we keep stepping into these bigger versions of ourselves. And instead of thinking that we're two different places, we have women who think that they're not good enough because they're not where they need to be or where they want to be financially. And then we have the women who think that they can't have love because they're too successful. And both of those scenarios are bullshit. I want my women who don't think that they're financially where they want to be. I want them to work on that. Go for your dreams. Go for your goals. Make some shit happen in your life because you can. Prove yourself wrong. If you think you can't, you need to prove yourself wrong. For my women who are already there financially successfully, who believe that there's, because they're being fed a whole bunch of bullshit from science and messages and things like that, that men don't want women like you, that's also bullshit. Let's start calling the bullshit and creating something drastically different. Okay, lover girl, it's time for the final thought on today's show.
A woman's ambition and love life can go hand in hand. There's no need to sacrifice one for the other.
Today's show is brought to you by thelovesickcure.com. Does your love life suck because you can't move on from the idea of him? Does every man you meet pale in comparison to the way he made you feel? It's okay, lady love. We 100% understand and have been there before. Whether you'd like the opportunity to get him back or to completely move on, we know this only happens when you cure your heartbreak and love sickness. Let us help you do that today at thelovesickcure.com. Hey, lover girl, this is Jen again. Don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, as well as share Single Smart Female with all of your single smart girlfriends. And if you would like to play around and learn more about Mantourage dating, come see me at singlesmartfemale.com. Talk to you next time.